Hey guys, it's Corey, and welcome back to another buying guide with 10 best ones. Today, we'll talk about which are the 5 best picks, how to choose the correct product, and what you should look at before buying. We've ranked these products based on their price, quality, durability, performance, and more. If you'd like to see their price and find out more information, you can check out the links in the description down below. To make it easier, we will include timestamps in the description as well. Let's get started.
There are some interesting CPU manufacturers out there, however the biggest of them for gaming and mainstream users are Intel and AMD. So the first thing you need to do is to choose between them. Up until the release of the Ryzen series, AMD has been an underdog, but these days it's equal and sometimes better than Intel. It has some great security patches, however for 1080p gaming Intel is still excellent, and it delivers a priceless performance coupled with the adequate graphics unit. The gist is that you can't go wrong with both of these manufacturers for a gaming CPU. Secondly, clock speeds. There are generally a lot of specs when you're looking at a CPU, but for gaming performance the most important of them are clock speeds. The clock speeds of a device are measured in gigahertz. This will indicate the speed that the chipset will run at, so faster is better naturally. Modern CPUs these days adjust the clock speed based on the task to keep the temperature under control, so you'll spot base clock speed, which is the minimum it runs at, and the turbo or boost clock speed, which is the max. Number 3, cores. Cores are considered as processors within the actual processor. Most modern CPUs have a large number of cores that can range from 2 to 32. Most of the processors contain from 4 to 8 cores, all of them which deliver an immense power boost. However, I don't recommend going below the 4-core mark. And lastly, threads. The thread number indicates the number of independent processors that the chip can do at any given moment. In theory, it should be the same as the number of cores, but there are exceptions as some modern processors have multi-threading features that allow a single core to create 2 threads. This feature is called hyper-threading on Intel chipsets and simultaneous multi-threading or SMT on AMD CPUs.
If you're looking for a mid-range model, then this next pick is a great option.
If you want a good gaming CPU but you don't necessarily have the budget for one, I recommend the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G, which is the definite best if you're shopping under the $200 range. This amazing CPU also supports some high-end features. It comes bundled with a cooler and has integrated graphics in it that make for a great entry-level PC build. The AMD Ryzen 5 3400G is not necessarily a gaming CPU, it's more of a CPU for rigs that won't have discrete graphics. As you may know, without a discrete graphics unit you really won't achieve a good gaming experience. However, with a CPU with integrated graphics such as the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G, it's a good choice for super entry-level gaming. This processing unit is the upgraded version of the Ryzen 5 2400G, which had the same micro-architecture that's pretty good overall and has multi-threading that's one of our favourite features for performance. The multi-threading feature of the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G boosts the performance when running modern tasks that demand CPU intensity, such as transcoding videos, rendering 3D imagery and so much more. The AMD Ryzen 5 3400G is equipped with 4 threads, and each of those threads delivers 2 processing threads, which are amazing. It more than doubles the actual performance of this processing unit and makes it a great choice despite being a budget choice. Moving on, the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G has a base clock speed of 3.7 GHz and it provides a boost clock speed of 4.2 GHz. While the speed might be a little higher than its cheaper counterpart, it delivers great performance and it saves plenty of time when running actual tasks. The built-in AMD Radeon RX Vega 11 GPU units in the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G has 11 graphics cores, each of them delivering 1400 MHz clock speeds that are great overall. Compared to Intel units in this category, the AMD Ryzen 5 3400G delivers value for its price.
We are going to start this list with the best budget option that you can get your hands on.
Coming up next on our list for the best gaming CPUs, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. This is a great CPU for entry-level gaming, and for its price it delivers great value. Coupled with a good graphics unit, you won't need anything more advanced than the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. I was really surprised to see that it can exceptionally provide a good gaming performance without any issues. So, let's take a look. The AMD Ryzen 5 3600 is an amazing update over its predecessor, something that's not a lot of people expected, including me. It has the company's brand new Zen 2 architecture that has done some great things. For example, this CPU doesn't have a 12nm manufacturing process, instead it uses a 7nm process. This allows the CPU to have better efficiency and boost instructions per clock. On top of that, it boosts them as well. Another important feature of the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 is the increased memory that's available immediately to the processor's cores. The caches are also boosted with 384KB of L1, 3MB of L2 and 32MB of L3 cache, the same specs that are present on the more expensive sibling of the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. More cache of this CPU will boost the overall gaming performance and also the system responsiveness. I also have to note that this unit has moved to the X570 chipset that supports the new standard of PCIe 4.0. The aforementioned feature works rather well for handling bandwidth for PCIe SSDs and newer Navi graphics units. This is a feature important for productivity users and gamers as well. The AMD Ryzen 5 3600 lands at the bottom of the performance rank, but for better CPUs, such as the Intel i7 and i9 series, which is quite impressive. It delivers a great strong performance, and in Cinebench R15 multi-core tests it provides superb performance. The base clock speed of the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 is 3.6 GHz and it achieves 4.2 GHz at maximum. It has 6 cores which have multi-threading features to deliver a great performance for gaming. Definitely a beast despite costing just a little.
Next up, we have a model which gives you the best value for your money.
For a long time now, the Intel Core i7-8700K has been one of the best bang-for-your-buck CPUs in the market. However, recently it's been dethroned by the AMD Ryzen 7 2700X. This one has some excellent upgrades, great clock speeds, new architecture and included cooler in most of the packages, and software that's very useful. Great overall, effectively ending the dominance of Intel in the CPU department. The AMD Ryzen 7 2700X is the company's flagship CPU that's built using the 12nm manufacturing process that boosts the speed effectively of its predecessor. The second-generation Ryzen processors made one of the biggest outbreaks in the industry. However, this is not the only thing that makes the AMD Ryzen 7 2700X widely popular and a fan favourite. The biggest reason, in my opinion, is its price for performance. It's incredible, and I don't think you can complain about that. The AMD Ryzen 7 2700X features 8-core construction with 16 threads thanks to the multi-threading feature of AMD. It's the same configuration as on its predecessor, however it's way faster at 3.7 GHz base clock speed and can achieve 4.3 GHz at a boost clock speed, which is amazing. The AMD Ryzen 7 2700X packs the Zen Plus architecture with 12nm construction that makes it way better in terms of performance compared to the last generation, and it also draws way less power at the same clock speed. It also comes with the X470 chipset platform that's immense in terms of power and efficiency that we see in all second-generation Ryzen CPUs. It also has some interesting enhancements such as the Precision Boost 2 that pushes higher frequencies across all the threads. The overclocking is also improved here with the Extended Frequency Range 2 that works on all cores effectively. In benchmark tests, this CPU delivers way more performance than anything at a similar price, and it's a great replacement if you don't want to invest in the most expensive CPUs out there.
Before we talk about the best model overall, let's look at the runner-up for this list.
At number 2, it's the Intel Core i9-9900K. A lot of gamers these days are turning to stream for a nice stream of revenue and to deliver us some great content. If you want to get into streaming, I recommend the Intel Core i9-9900K, which is the best CPU for the purpose. This CPU delivers some great features such as a cooler performance, tight energy consumption and superb hyper-threading. The Intel Core i9-9900K is the company's first Core i9 chip that delivers some immense features that make it a fan favourite. It is a bit expensive though, and many gamers don't choose it for that very same reason. The Intel Core i9-9900K comes as one of the first octa-core processors in the company's lineup, along with the Core i7-9700K, which is pretty good as well. Moving on, the Intel Core i9-9900K also delivers the highest thread count in all Coffee Lake refresh CPUs with a total of 16. This means that the Intel Core i9-9900K provides a great hyper-threading that's better than most Ryzen 2nd generation processors. If you remember, the Ryzen 7 2700X we talked about earlier had also 8 cores and 16 threads, but the i9-9900K outperforms it with a base clock speed of 3.6 GHz and a boost clock speed of 5 GHz with a single core and 4.7 GHz with multiple cores. Then again, the most impressive thing about this CPU is that it incorporates all the cores and threads in the performance. On top of all that, it has 400 MHz higher clock speeds than its competitor with a 95-watt thermal package of the previous Coffee Lake chipsets. I have to also mention that this processor has a soldered integrated heat spreader that helps with heat dissipation significantly. When compared to the others in its range, it runs about 10 degrees Celsius cooler, one of the best out there, especially for streamers.
Finally, the next model is the best overall. From us, it gets a perfect score in all categories.
When it comes to gaming CPUs, and not just that, it's perfect for handling CPU-heavy tasks. It's the AMD Ryzen 9 3950X. This can be considered as a workstation-grade CPU because it's spec heavy, and it's one of my favourite ones out there because it's cheaper than the high-end workstation-grade CPUs. As far as consumer processors go, this is the most impressive one out there. If you want a better one than this, you have to go into the HEDT range, which doesn't deliver any real gaming performance. The AMD Ryzen 9 3950X is built on the company's amazing Zen 2 7nm architecture that's impressive overall. It's also the most expensive one in this list, but if you require extra power, it delivers. Besides the 7N architecture upgrade, the AMD Ryzen 9 3950X has an extra cache that'll help you out in a lot of cases. It has 1MB of L1, 8MB of L2 and 64MB of L3 cache that's great in terms of productivity. This beast is equipped with 16 cores and 32 threads, but it still fits into the standard AM4 socket that's the same one that AMD has used for a long time now. It also hits TDP of just 105 watts. The AMD Ryzen 9 3950X supports a base clock speed of 3.5 GHz and a boost clock speed of 4.7 GHz. With all its cores combined with the multi-threading, it's amazing. More cores provide better performance in most of the cases, however in the others they don't have a significant advantage, so you have to get your priorities straight. This is a CPU for power-hungry users.